Hello, my name's Jim Gamble. I'm the independent chair of the Bromley Safeguarding Children Board. This is the first in a series of video briefings that we're producing to help share really important information with the broader safeguarding community. We want to give you the information that will help you help us make children in Bromley safer. Today we're looking at child sexual exploitation, CSE. What does it look like in Bromley? And if you see it or think you see it, what can you do to help? When we talk about child sexual exploitation, let's be clear. We're talking about child abuse. One of the most frequent features in child sex abuse in Bromley is peer-on-peer. Children and young adults with other children and young adults. And that leads to harmful sexual behaviour. It's about normalising a sexual conduct between children that simply makes them think it's okay to do particular things for particular reasons. And one of the problems when engaging children and young people in this context is very often they don't see themselves as victims. So they're the person that's going to push you back, to tell you it's none of your business. But as adults, as safeguarding professionals, parents and carers, every one of us has a duty not to step back, but to take note of what's going on and to share the information we have with others within the Bromley safeguarding community. Predators will initially perhaps flatter and become their friend, because the greatest gift, of course, is that of friendship. They'll then give them things like mobile phones, they'll bring them into the group where they'll feel they belong, and they'll indoctrinate them into behaviours that they otherwise wouldn't have got involved in. The young person themselves won't actually understand that they're a victim at this stage. They've been seduced, they've been groomed. So they'll think they belong and they think that what they're doing is normal. And that's part of the difficulty. That's why we rely on safeguarding professionals. Adults with experience in this field. People who are interested enough to listen to the likes of this video, to search out information, so when they see something that they think can't be right, that they then have the courage and take responsibility to report that. The best way to support children is to make sure they're seen, they're heard and they're helped. When you see them, you take note of what's happening. When you talk to them, you listen to what they're actually telling you, and you're able to evidence that you've done that, because when you hear something that gives rise to concern, or you see something that you're worried about, that you actually take the next step, and that is to report your concerns to the right people. So let's consider some of the issues you might want to keep an eye out for. Watch out for mood changes. Children may become much more secretive, they may become more withdrawn, they may become more aggressive. If you see a change in their demeanour, ask yourself, are they okay? Why might that change have taken place? The child who skips across the road one day on their way to school, who's walking with the weight of the world on their shoulders the next, may simply be worried about an exam, but it may be something much more. If they suddenly have injuries or marks on their body and you think they've begun to self-harm, you need to think about that. If there's a sudden change in their friendship groups, they begin hanging out with different people, begin changing their style and mode of dress, perhaps even liking different music, that just might be about adolescence, but it might be about something more. Think about it. If they're getting picked up in strange cars driven by adult men, or getting dropped off at different times of the day or night in cars by men that you don't know, by adults you don't know, then you need to begin considering what's happening. Alcohol or drugs, children are going to experiment at some stage. At the very least, they're going to talk about it. But when a child becomes reliant on the use of alcohol or drugs and begins to talk much more about it, then you need to think what else is going on in their life that may have accelerated this push towards a reliance on using alcohol or drugs. Every child today will have a mobile telephone. They'll have lots of go-to devices that they'll play games on and exchange messages on. It's really important that you have an understanding about what's normal with that. So they may be online all the time. But there'll be subtle changes when they're being coerced and controlled. The way they approach their technology, they may be more nervous or more anxious. They may become much more secretive about when they read messages or when they use the mobile device. And in fact, the device itself may be new and there may be no credible explanation as to where or from whom it came. So think about the devices they have, how they use them, what's normal and what's not. And if any new devices come on the scene, think about where did they get that from? When children begin to go missing, they can go missing from home. They can go missing for long periods of time or short periods of time. Sometimes they'll go missing from school for part of the day or all of the day. It's important that that's understood as an indicator that something else is wrong and that that's not ignored and that it's reported. The key issue is this: doing nothing is not an option. So I'm speaking directly, to those of you who work in the community, whether you're the community beat officer, whether you're the nurse, the community midwife, or the health visitor, whether you work for the housing association, whether you're a social worker going about your business, keep your eyes open. Make sure your children are seen, heard, and helped. And at the end of the day, if that nagging doubt about something you've seen is still with you when you go home, imagine that doubt was about your child, and do the right thing. If you want more information, click the link at the end of this video where we'll share with you how you can report, how you can get advice, and critically, how you can help change the direction of a child's life.